And on today's Unbiased Short Take, there will be no formal podcast this week. Me and JB will pick up on that next week. I do plan on these videos, my short take and JB's, going on Spotify. So, before we get into it, the Unbiased Hard Take Fantasy Football League has continued, and if you want to see the official scores, the link to that will be in the description down below to our Facebook page. Please go like, by the way. So, we're looking at it here. Butker's Tradwife leads the division at 4-3. Primetime, which is JB, is 3-4. Ooh, struggling a little bit, my friend. And number one Colts fan is 1-6. And then Swifty Nation, who has beaten me twice, and the only person that beat me, so we'll have to fix that, get a little nervous, is 6-1. I actually going to take it from you, am 5-2, and bend it like Beckham Jr. is 2-5. So the playoff picture currently goes Swifty Nation number 1 seed, Butker's Tradwife 2 seed, 3 seed is myself, and then 4 seed is Primetime, that being JB. So, again, long way to go in fantasy football. Just keep track on that. With that, we're going to move into the DoorDash predictions. So, with the DoorDash predictions, I am currently 71-36. I only had 2 misses last week. And JB had a pretty good week himself. He got 10 right out of 15. And he is now 64-43. So, still a tight race. JB was 500 there for a while, but he's well above that now and back on his stride of things. So, I look for the DoorDash competition to heat up. With that, we're going to jump right in to Thursday Night Football. Hopefully this one's a lot better, because last week watching the Saints play was... I almost want to put hot sauce in your eyes, you know what I'm saying? It was just mind-numbing to watch. So, the Minnesota Vikings at the LA Rams. And you know, I hate the Vikings. I really, really do. They're not going to win this Super Bowl. They'll choke like they always do to the Vikings. But they are a good football team. They're 5-1 right now, and they just lost. They did lose a heartbreaking game to Detroit, but they played relatively well. Aaron Jones had a good day, which makes me sad. Justin Jefferson had a good day. I mean, the Vikings had 244 passing yards and 139 rushing yards for 383 total, which is right behind the Lions at 391. So this is just who had the ball last. This is ultimately what came down to this. So I think Detroit is better than Minnesota anyway, but I look for Minnesota to bounce back. I mean, what I'm looking here, guys, at the Rams, yes, they got a 20-15 win against the Raiders, but Aiden O'Connell's hurt. He got hurt, number one, and Gardner Minshew threw 3 interceptions. Matt Stafford didn't throw a single touchdown or for even 175 yards. They only won by 5 against the Raiders. I don't like them odds against the Vikings. They're not going to be able to do that again. They're too banged up with Puka hurt and Cooper Kupp hurt. Trade rumors with him, so Matt Stafford doesn't look like he used to. He's a little older now, so yeah, I think Minnesota wins this game here pretty easily. Then moving over to Baltimore at Cleveland, and Deshaun Watson is now injured. I'm not going to laugh at him because it sucks to see people get injured. But I'm taking Baltimore here. Jameis Winston is playing, which I wonder maybe that will kind of help motivate the team. They'll kind of play better because ultimately he really is their best option and was their best option, even with Deshaun Watson healthy. So I think maybe they'll play Baltimore a little closer here than people think, but Derrick Henry almost has 900 rushing yards. We're in week 8. Lamar Jackson's playing like MVP candidate, just went out there and threw 5 touchdowns on Tampa Bay and obliterated Tampa Bay, who won a playoff game last year and is looking pretty good this year, mind you, also. So yeah, give me Baltimore here. I think they're a force to be reckoned with. And then we got Tennessee at Detroit. I'm taking Detroit here. Even with Aiden Hutchinson out, they were able to go out there and beat the Vikings. A very good Vikings team, mind you. And they're playing a Titans team, which they're absolutely abysmal. They're a mess. So I think Detroit wins that game pretty handily. Will Levis's injury history up in the... So who knows if it's going to be Rudolph or Will Levis. A lot of question marks in Tennessee. So give me Detroit. Then moving on to Indianapolis at Houston. And as weird as it sounds, if Indianapolis wins this game, they're leading the division. They're winning a lot of ugly football games. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't get extra style points for winning fancy. But I think Houston's a better team here. Don't expect C.J. Stroud to have under 100 passing yards again. They had in the 50s when it came to passing yards if you include sack yardage. So I think Houston bounces back big here, and they were still able almost to beat Green Bay. Joe Mixon's an absolute beast, and I think Houston's going to beat Indianapolis here. And then moving on to my favorite time of the week, y'all, the Green Bay Packers. Yes, at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I don't have this stat on me or anything like that, but the Packers seem to always play like crap in Jacksonville. I don't know why. They normally win, but it's always closer than it should be. But I think the Packers are going to win this game, honestly, here. Yes, I understand the Jaguars were finally able to go get a victory in London, but they're coming off of a really long London stretch. Remind you, the Patriots, of all teams, went out to a 10-0 lead. Jacksonville was able to score 32 points and beat them. But that's because New England's inept on offense. Green Bay is not inept on offense. You go down 10-0, their defense is abysmal. Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence has been making a lot of mistakes. They just don't look quite the same team I thought they were going to be this season. So I think Green Bay wins by between 7 and 10 points. I think that's very reasonable. So give me the Pack, baby. Mind you, Josh Jacobs is also top 5 in the league in rushing also. And if you want to know, since the beginning of the 2023 season, Jordan Love has a better touchdown-interception ratio in the regular season than Patrick Mahomes does. Go look it up. So, give me the Packers here. I think this is going to be a good, if we allow it to be and don't overlook, this could be a really, relatively, hopefully solid win here. And then moving on to the Arizona Cardinals at the Miami Dolphins. Again, the Miami Dolphins, quarterback carousel. We've seen Tim Boyle again. Packers will back out. He was out there again. This is carousel at quarterback for Miami. Tua said he does plan on playing sometime soon. His brain's on. I respect that. The Warriors mentality. I'm an old school football guy, so I have a lot of respect for that. You have a love for the game. I get it. Go out there and play. I support that. It's ultimately your choice. Don't let anyone else make that choice for you. I understand both sides. But I'm taking Arizona here. They were able on Monday Night Football on ESPN Plus to get a really impressive win over the Chargers, and the Chargers had a winning record at the time. So, and Justin Herbert did have over 300 passing yards, so he didn't have a bad game. They just couldn't punch it in the end zone. That Cardinals defense, which got humiliated a week or two ago, really stepped up this week. So I think I'm impressed with what I see for Arizona. Miami's just banged up. Tyreek Hill's dang near not effective at all. I know he's on my fantasy team because of their quarterback carousel. So yeah, give me Arizona here. They're just a better team. Then moving on to the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. The Jets. The Jets absolutely have learned nothing. They had Brett Favre at the end of his career, and it didn't work out either, so I don't understand why they thought doing the same exact thing with his predecessor was going to work out any better. It's about the organization. The Jets are an absolute mess. So, and ever since they fired Robert Saleh, their defense has been playing like crap. So maybe Robert Saleh wasn't the problem. I'm just saying. I think a lot of the problem is the head coach isn't really running the facility. Aaron Rodgers is, obviously. They got Devontae Adams now. As I said, Devontae Adams is running back to daddy now because all the quarter he realized the grass wasn't so green on the other side, and that wasn't. Aaron Rodgers has always made his receivers look better than they actually are. When Greg Jennings left Green Bay, he wasn't as good. I ain't going to say Donald Driver in his career, but Jordy Nelson, when he left Green Bay for the Raiders, was not very good. James Jones ended up coming back also from the Raiders because of how badly he played. And Randall Cobb's another one. So, I think the Jets win this game, and then people are going to start hyping them up again. The Jets are going to beat bad football teams this year. They're not a very good football team. They had a better record with Zach Wilson last year. They're just not a good team. And I am glad to see Aaron Rodgers didn't retire after last year. You never want to see anybody go out career-ending injury on an injury. Come on, you don't want to see that on an all-time great. So I am glad he is back. I have the Jets in my playoff picture. Starting to kind of question that now. I had them as my last seed. But give me the Jets here. I just think they're way too talented to lose to an abysmal New England team. So, with that, the Atlanta Falcons at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Evans is hurt. Chris Godwin's been placed on injured reserve now also. So, I think Atlanta gets the win here. They had a really poor performance against Seattle, where they only scored 14 points and allowed 34, and Kirk Cousins had 2 picks. But, mind you, Seattle's a relatively good team. I have them in my playoff picture also. And Bijan Robinson's a beast, 103, 1 touchdown. They have weapons. Drake London made some plays. I look for Atlanta to bounce back, especially with the injuries to Baker Mayfield's receivers, in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I worry about that. So give me the Falcons here because of injuries. And I do have them winning this division. And this further solidifies that in my mind. So, moving forward to the Philadelphia Eagles at the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm going to take a shocker here. I'm taking the Bengals here. The Bengals are kind of doing what they did last year. They started out bad, and they started winning some games in a row, but they didn't look quite as good. And ultimately, they beat Cleveland pretty handily. There really was no doubt. I watched the recap of that game. There was really no doubt that they were going to win that game. Charlie Jones returned the opening kickoff. Purdue boy, by the way. And Joe Burrow, 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase is an absolute baller. 1 touchdown, 55 yards. T. Higgins got in the end zone, 82 yards. Actually led the Bengals in receiving. And they held Myles Garrett also. Who's the reigning defensive player in the year. And they held him to 0 sacks. So, I'm impressed with what I've seen from Cincinnati. Now, Philadelphia, they're kind of a similar team to Cincinnati. They have been winning some games. They have been looking a lot better recently. But they just seem to be underperforming even in wins. And how much stock do I put into beating the Giants 28-3? I don't really know, So ultimately, I think Cincinnati is just a better football team. Give me Joe Burrow. And then moving on to the New Orleans Saints at the LA Chargers. And Spencer Rattler is not ready for the NFL stage. That's why I had a second round grid on him, because I worried about the level of competition and things of that nature. So I think the Chargers are going to bounce back pretty good here. Jim Harbaugh is an outstanding football coach. He'll have them ready to play, especially against an unprepared Spencer Rattler and a very injured Saints team right now. Then moving on to the Buffalo Bills at the Seattle Seahawks. And the Bills were kind of a team that I think, kind of wrong on in the offseason. They lost a lot of players. And sometimes when really you lose things, you've actually won. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes losing things is necessary to get better. And you need to move on from certain things. Stephon Diggs. So, I'm really impressed and really was wrong about Buffalo. I will flat out admit I was wrong about Buffalo. Because a 34-10 smacking on Tennessee, and again, how much stock do we want to put into that? But 10 points in the third quarter, 17 points in the fourth quarter. They look like another playoff team until they get in the playoffs and lose Mahomes again. So ultimately, I think Buffalo wins this game. They're just a better team than Seattle. I know Seattle coming on their high horse, coming off that win in Atlanta. I think they kind of stumble a little bit here. Then moving on to the Chicago Bears at the Washington Commanders. JB's not here this week for me to laugh at with him. So, I'm actually picking Chicago on this one. And it's not because I think they're better than Washington. I don't. I worry about Jaden Daniels. Again, I said it in the mock draft. He's a great prospect. Could be a really great player. But I worry about injury concerns with him. I said it in the pre-draft with my analysts. So, I think Chicago wins because Marcus Mariota took first-team reps today in practice, and I worry about their quarterback's availability currently in Jaden Daniels. So with that kind of murkiness, give me Chicago here, unfortunately. Then moving on to the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. And the Broncos are coming off that they've slapped New Orleans on Thursday Night Football last week. And they have a lot of extra rest. And mind you, the Panthers are starting Bryce Young this week because Andy Dalton got in a car accident. He is okay. So Bryce Young's back out there. It's just a mess in Carolina. They're the worst team in football. So yeah, give me Denver here. Denver kind of sneaky in the playoff picture. Just saying. And then Kansas City at Vegas. Kansas City. Might as well just give them the trophy. Go 17-0. They got DeAndre Hopkins now. Tennessee traded him to Kansas City today. So might as well. Mahomes has 2 more interceptions and touchdowns. He has more stats than Geno Smith. And they're on the last undefeated team. So might as well just let him go 17-0 and win the Super Bowl. We're all wasting our time. So yeah, give me Kansas City. Forever. 17-0. Then we have the Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. I'm taking Dallas. Brandon Ayuk's out now. Deebo Samuels has pneumonia and only played a couple plays and was actually hospitalized. When's Christian McCaffrey ever going to play again? Madden curse on him, I suppose. For all of those people out there that believe in that, I do. So, just way too many injuries. And Brock Purdy's a good quarterback, but it's a lot of injuries, man. You have Trent Williams punching people. Just not a good look. I'm taking Dallas here in a close game. I think this is a San Francisco possible meltdown. So, then we move on to the New York Giants at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm taking the Steelers here. The Giants need to start over after this season with quarterback concerns, and they need to go draft one. Because Daniel Jones is not the answer. Saquon Barkley's left, and you can tell. They're just not a good football team. 3 points, their offense. No one's afraid of the Giants' offense. What are you afraid of? Exactly. So, yeah, give me Pittsburgh here. I was kind of wrong on Russell Wilson. He actually outperformed Aaron Rodgers on Sunday Night Football, and they got a really, really good win against a Jets team I thought was meant to playoffs. So, Pittsburgh looks good. Russell Wilson looks good. So, give me Pittsburgh here. And there are no teams that have bye weeks. So, that is all for the DoorDash Pick'em. And, you know, I'm so happy because now the NBA is also back. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit about the NBA before we kind of wrap things up, because last night the Celtics tied the NBA record. That was today's Sports Fact of the Day. Go check that out on Facebook. The link is down below. So, the Celtics demolished the New York Knicks. And me and JB both have the Knicks winning the championship this year. They demolished them 132-109. I watched that game, and it really wasn't close from the get-go. I mean, the Celtics tied the NBA record for 3 points made in a game on opening night. So, Boston will be right in the thick of things again this year, proving why they're the defending champs. And then, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Lakers and Timberwolves game. And, I watched up until halftime until I fell asleep, and then ended up watching the recap of the rest of it on the internet. And Bronny James, let's just talk about it, right? We have to ask ourselves, are we here for entertainment or are we here for basketball? Because it depends on your answer. I understand both. It's in LA, Hollywood, LeBron James, his son, father's son, I understand. But Bronny James played 3 minutes. He missed 2 shots, 1 offensive rebound. So I guess he has a statistic of some kind. So Bronny James is officially an NBA player, and him and his dad shared the court. It's cool, but let's admit it for what it is. Bronny James is a liability. The Lakers are more of a sideshow entertainment than they are an actual basketball team. Let's admit that. Because no one's talking about the night Anthony Davis had last night where he dominated and had 3 blocks. And all 3 of those blocks were not just little blocks. They were full rejections. A double-double game, dominant performance, over 30 points. Anthony Davis was the best player in the court last night. LeBron only had 16 points. And while Anthony Davis had 36, 16, 4 assists, 3 blocks. Anthony Davis was doing everything on the court. From making 3-pointers to blocking shots to making jumpers to rebounding, playing defense. He was amazing last night and proves why he's a Hall of Famer and NBA champion. But Bronny James, 3 minutes, 1 rebound. He's not an NBA player. We all know that. He's more of a G League player. Let's call it for what it is. So if we're here for basketball, this is actually horrible for the Lakers, especially if J.J. Redick is forced to play Bronny, which he probably will be, considering the fact that Bronny's on the Lakers, and his agent said that he will not sign a 2-way contract, even though that's what he truly needs. He needs to go to the G League and develop. They should have played him last night, have that moment, and then sent him to G League to develop. He had his moment with his dad. They're starting to hit whatever development he has. He's just not an NBA-level player right now. And he's going to embarrass himself. And he's getting more recognition than Dalton Knecht is. And he actually made a difference last night, coming off the bench with 16 minutes, 5 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and had a really good preseason. And mind you, Dalton Knecht's jersey, he's a first-round pick. He's a real draft pick. Jersey wasn't even available until after Bronny's was. We all know what it is. It's nepotism. It happens all the time in every business. I understand. Happens with Giannis and Giannis in Milwaukee also. It's just really big. It's a really scrutinized thing because it's LeBron. It's annoying. I ain't gonna lie. I'm on the annoying side. This is bad for the Lakers. This, for a basketball perspective, this is bad for their team. He is not worthy of a roster spot. We all know it. So, again, Miami Heat basketball is set to start 25 minutes from now, from the time of recording this. So I'm going to go check that out. More basketball coverage on the way. Wait for JB's short take. He'll be posting that, and we plan on being back to normal next week. So, as always, like, subscribe, hit the bell. Like us on Facebook. Check out the Sports Fact of the Day, all that good stuff. Like on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and don't forget to follow on Spotify also. So, that's all I got. Until next week, as always, boiler up. We'll be at the next game, baby. Let's go Heat. And go Pack, go, baby. We'll see y'all next week.